Marriage vacation, why am I not satisfied? I have a wonderful husband. I mean, he loves me with every breath he takes. I certainly love him now and have for many years. He provides great support for our family. The girls adore him. He is a great person to be around. The neighbors don't hesitate to ask him for help with anything computer-related, and believe me, they ask for quite a bit. I never suspected he wanted another woman other than me. He doesn't even flirt. Derek almost always satisfies me in bed, and gets upset if I don't experience pleasure. I know he's a pretty good lover because I had several lovers before we were married to compare him to. Derek was the best I've ever had, but I've come to realize that my knowledge base is over 20 years old. For most of our marriage, it never occurred to me to lose my way, at least until the incident with Roger, understand. As I approached 45 and wasn't that far away from having an empty nest, I found myself needing more validation that I was still an attractive woman from someone other than my husband. Although Derek had always said I was more beautiful than ever, I could see myself in the mirror. Breasts that were perky are now sagging. Wrinkles are appearing on smooth cheeks. I need to dye the gray in my hair. The ass that once fit in the chair is now starting to go out of bounds. I can look good with makeup and the right dress, but for how long? I began to imagine in my dreams what another lover might do. I started thinking about how I would discreetly meet other men if I took the risk. Sometimes when Derek and I made love, I thought of other men like TV and movie stars. The new handsome young guys who came into our office could make me horny. I began to change my work closet, short skirts, bras that pulled up my breasts, and another button undone on my blouses. Compliments from men at work intensified. The changes in my closet were noticed. Roger was a good-looking man who flirted with me for several years at work, but I never took it seriously until one day I was feeling particularly frisky. It seemed like a bluff to me when it was just the two of us. He immediately called my bluff and locked the door to my office. The feelings that had been building up for months caused my morals to spontaneously combust. Without thinking of the consequences, I pounced on him passionately and violently. Clothes were thrown off, we made love, it was amazing. We were lucky we didn't get caught. Our clothes were on in record time. He left and I sat stunned in the chair before putting things back on the table. I used a lot of face wipes and I had to spray air freshener to kill the smell of sex. The excitement of what we had done was amazing. It took a good hour to get back into work mode. This supposed one-time affair left us both wanting more. Recognizing that our first time was too dangerous, we conceived a more secretive repeat. Once again we managed to please each other and not get caught. Short secret trysts soon became simply not enough for us. Roger figured out a way for us to go on a cruise together. For 2 weeks we'd be alone and no one around to snitch on us. I've been thinking a lot about how to approach Derek about going away for 2 weeks. I think I'm gonna go with the half-truth method. I'll tell him that I need a temporary trial separation to restore my old middle-aged spirit. I want time to think about the future of our family, talk to other people, enjoy myself, and be free to temporarily explore some new relationships with other people. Derek will get the same freedom from me while I'm gone. After 20 years of marriage and sex with only one woman, he would probably like to take a little break from marriage. I doubt Derek would date another woman, much less do anything with her while I'm away for a while. He loves me so much that he would probably just wait and take me back. He might pout a little and I might have to promise not to do it again. I know Derek will put up with a lot to keep the wife he loves and his family intact. Also, he will probably realize that his finances will take a big hit in the divorce. That's why I'm sure he won't do anything too drastic because of my spiritual quest. I fully intend to go back to being a faithful wife after the cruise. In fact, I'm already looking forward to it. In fact, I plan to smother Derek with all the sex and attention he can handle once I get back. I think 2 weeks of unbridled sex on the cruise will satisfy my desires enough that I'll stop seeing Roger for a long time, maybe forever. If that doesn't happen, Roger and I will have to figure out an even safer way to meet. But I'll have to avoid seeing him for a few months after I'm reunited with my husband. I don't want to risk my future, sharing my children, grandchildren, and pension with Derek. We're going to have to be very, very careful. Now I just need to approach Derek in the right way, when he's in a good mood. Lydia and I finished a session that partly resembled lovemaking. I say partly because I could tell Lydia's heart wasn't quite in it. She made all the appropriate love sounds and expressions of how good it felt. The fake pleasure, however, almost made me laugh. As we lay on our backs in bed, she apparently decided it was time to broach the subject I was expecting. "Derek, you know I love you, don't you?" I thought, finally this is it. Thank God I'm ready. I played along. "Yes, darling. And I know you love me, don't I?" "Absolutely, darling. If I really needed something that could help me a lot, you'd let me do it, right?" "Of course, darling. What do you want?" Like I didn't know. I mean my whole life, body and soul, to re-evaluate everything, including our marriage and my motherhood. I think I could do that with just a temporary trial leave from my duties as a wife and mother. You guys could probably take a break from me too. We'll all feel better when I come back, rested and more committed than ever to being a better wife and mother. I feel like I need some time to explore. Wait, where are you going? I stepped out into the hallway and shouted toward the girls' rooms. Girls, wake up. It's time. Bring your things to the kitchen. Okay, Daddy. We're not asleep yet. We'll be right there. Derek, what's going on? Why are the girls coming here? There's no need to tell them anything right now. We still have a lot to talk about. We'll have plenty of time to tell them everything. Lydia, our girls are part of the family you just announced you want to change. They're both old enough to understand what you want and the consequences of it. We all, as a family, need to discuss what needs to happen. I think it would be best if we all sat down at the kitchen table and each of us got a chance to speak. I went down to the kitchen, despite Lydia's request to talk to me alone. The coffee seemed delicious and I made myself a cup. I didn't offer to make coffee for Lydia. Lydia seemed to be losing his courage. Derek, you're making too big a deal out of this, honey. I'm just asking for some personal time to go out with my boyfriend, Roger. We know. Lydia looks shocked. Roger? Why are you stringing him along? He's just a friend at work. I need time to figure it out. How to have sex with Roger without sneaking around, and still be able to choose between him and me and the girls we know. You know, what are you talking about? I'm just suggesting we take a little break and let me neglect my duties as a wife and mother. Well, we'll give you a break. Only we call it a divorce, not a trial separation or a leave of absence. Derek, you're overreacting to what I said. There's no reason to talk about divorce. It'll just be September. Girls, why do you need your suitcases? Girls, I'm so sorry I couldn't wait. Why don't you talk to your mother while I go get my suitcase? I went upstairs, but there were voices coming from the kitchen. Girls, Lydia said, I'm afraid your father has the wrong idea about what I asked. Alicia spoke first. Be truthful, mother. We've known for months what you and your lover were up to. Well, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, of course you do, Edie interjected. We're talking about your Wednesday lunches, which have turned into quick Wednesday lunches, which are about to turn into a 2-week cruise with Slick Roger. What? You can't know, I didn't do any of that. Roger is just someone I have lunch with sometimes. Alicia took the initiative. Really? The first time you two decided to have your lunch break in the executive inn, Dad got a call. Your office was looking for you. You and Roger had gone over your 1-hour lunch hour limit. Dad said he had no idea where you were. When you got home that evening, he made up a story about coming by to pick you up after lunch and not finding you. You lied and told him you were seeing your boss. It wasn't a lie, it was the truth. I was in a meeting with Mr. Albright. The secretary must have made a mistake. You know, she's not the most trustworthy person in the world. Since when did Roger become your boss and the room at the executive and become his office? Anyway, that's when Dad decided to hire a private investigator. We have a lot of videos, recordings, and photos. Really, Mom? This loser is nowhere near as good-looking as our father. You've become a cheater in your old age. How dare you talk to your mother like that? How dare you do what a cheater does instead of acting like our mother? I heard Lydia reply with some anger in her voice. If your father suspected something, why didn't he tell me directly and stop me? He obviously didn't think it was that big of a deal. I think it was Alicia who said, Mom, you have a ring on your finger that says, Dad should never tell you not to have sex with another man. You agreed to renounce all others in your marriage vows. Daddy said that if he stopped you this time with Roger, your desire for another man would only be temporarily delayed. By the time you were ready to try again, you'd have learned to hide your deception better. Well, he could have said something. He should have said something if it bothered him so much. It just shows that he doesn't care if I enjoy the innocent attention of another man or not. I don't understand why he's suddenly so jealous. No, Mom, he didn't tell you anything because he needed time to prepare. His lawyer and accountant were working to prevent you from getting your grubby little hands on his money in a normal divorce. He didn't want the threat of financial ruin to affect his decision to stay married or not. A few weeks later, he came to us and told us what was going on. He showed us a video. What we saw and heard disgusted us. Edie and I told him we were on his side. Dad explained that modern divorce laws favor the wife regardless of what she did to break her marriage vows. Like I said, his lawyer and accountant have spent the last couple months reducing your joint accounts. I bet you didn't know that thanks to you, Edie's education and mine are now fully funded. What? It must have cost him a fortune. Where'd he get the money? I see it now. He knows I'm not gonna try to get my college money back. That's just plain mean of him. And you two are conspiring with your father against me, aren't you? No, Mom, it was you and your lover who conspired against our family to either turn a blind eye to your prodigality, or let you destroy us while you ran off with your lover and a big chunk of Dad's money. We were just covering our asses. And it takes a lot to cover your ass, sis. Edie's remark made them both giggle. Little fool, a big fool. Now girls, I said, heading downstairs with the suitcases. Lydia looked shocked. Derek, can we all just calm down and talk about this? I admit that I may have made a big mistake. I really don't want a breakup, much less a divorce. I will tell Roger that I was wrong to want to spend some time with him. I'll never see him again, I promise. I was never going to divorce you or leave with Roger. I just wanted to have a little fun with someone else. Too little, too late, darling. I realize you and Roger have already paid for 2 weeks on the Love Boat. In my humble opinion, you two really need to enjoy the trip. Because I expect your lives to be considerably more complicated for the two of you when you get back. What do you mean by that? First, you'll have to take care of all the household chores and other responsibilities yourself, because the girls and I will be living in a new apartment. Secondly, Daddy, which one did we buy? Please let it be the one with the hot tub. It was available the day before yesterday, last time I checked. We may have to spend a couple nights in a hotel room until we find out if it's available, but I'm pretty sure we'll get the condo we wanted. The girls were happily excited. Like I said, secondly, I don't think you'll be here alone. After all, Roger will need somewhere to live, Madge told me. Madge, you know Roger's wife? Our trip shouldn't make any difference to her, she doesn't care. Anyway, their divorce is almost finalized. I assume Roger told you that. The truth is their divorce was a surprise to Madge when I met her almost 2 months ago. She had been waiting and preparing with us to be ready to react as soon as you two broke the news to us. I called her a few minutes ago when I was upstairs. I think Roger is being kicked out of their house right now. She said something about her older brother coming over to help her get rid of the trash. He told me that she had already agreed to the divorce and didn't mind us going on a cruise or something. Roger told his wife he had to go to California for a 2-week internship. She had checked with her boss a week ago that no training was forthcoming. She spoke to Mr. Albright? Yes, what a coincidence, he's your boss too. Which brings us to the third thing. When you and Roger get back from your trip, you don't have to go back to work. Your and Roger's boss was waiting for me to tell him to fire you both. He agreed to wait, and in the meantime he was picking a replacement. He'll do no such thing. Roger and I are valued employees. You and Roger are employees whose actions allow Madge and I to sue your company for allowing communications while on the job. He was very pleased when Madge and I agreed to drop the lawsuit if you both got fired. It wasn't supposed to be like that, Lydia cried. No, you were supposed to be a faithful wife and mother. We were supposed to grow old, retire, and enjoy our grandchildren together. Instead, you chose to alienate your family, greatly reduce the amount of money you will have, and tarnish your reputation irrevocably. Derek, I can't believe you're treating me so horribly. I thought you loved me. What else are you gonna do to hurt me? I'm glad you asked. If you fight the divorce, an edited version of your cheating with Roger will go to your parents, relatives, coworkers, neighbors, and plus they just might show up on the internet. That can't happen. Derek, I love you. I always came home. I just wanted some time to myself. In about a month, everything will be back to normal. And now you're snapping at me for no good reason. Surely all these years of marriage are worth giving me a break. You should all give me some forgiveness and a second chance. Actually, no. You had a second, third, fourth, and so on chance every time you decided to meet Roger instead of doing what a wife and mother is supposed to do. As for what this marriage has been worth, up until 3 months ago it was worth everything to me. It was then that I realized that our marriage and our children mean nothing to you, or at least much less than they used to. Lydia, you hurt me deeply. I was so depressed that I could have done something to myself if it was just the two of us. I thought about giving in to you, but then I decided that by my actions, I would teach our girls what they shouldn't do to their future husbands. I thought about going for a regular divorce. But the image of not being able to see my girls whenever I wanted helped me come to my senses while fighting the madness. After my lawyer told me about the divorce in favor of my wife despite the adultery, I was motivated to see you and Roger get as little reward and as much punishment as possible. I think you will soon see that we did a pretty good job. Now listen to me, Derek. You can't just take off with the kids. I'm their mother. The court will give me custody in the divorce. I'll charge you with kidnapping if you take them. Don't think I won't. You may be partially right. However, my attorney and I have decided to postpone all proceedings until Edie is old enough to officially say who she wants to live with. Alicia has already signed a notarized statement. I admit that you could get Edie to stay with you, but it probably wouldn't be a good experience for you. Yeah, Mom, what do you think? I used to be a rude and impulsive girl. Just wait until I start skipping school, experimenting with drugs, and having sex with boys. If that doesn't work, I'll complain that your boyfriend Roger is harassing me with your support. So, as you can see, Lydia, we're ready. Are you? Apparently not the way I thought. You were supposed to accept the trial separation and maybe get upset. But after a few months you'd take me back like the prodigal son. No harm, no foul. I really wasn't getting a divorce. I just wanted you to think that divorce was too big a price to pay for my vacation for a couple of months. Now I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's none of my business at this point, but I'd suggest trying to figure out how you're going to survive with the house and its bills without a steady income. You could sell the house and get half the equity. If that works out, you'll have enough money to get by until you get a job. As Derek and the girls were about to leave, the phone rang. It's probably Roger looking for a place to stay. Don't let him use my stuff, except for you, of course. They were gone before I could call him. Cell phone rings. Hi, Lydia, you know we got caught. Yeah, they just left. Asshole, this isn't going the way you said it would. I shouldn't have fallen for your bullshit. Hey, I didn't seduce you. You attacked me in your office. I may have been hot, but you were on fire. There's no point in arguing now. We need to figure out what to do to save our marriages and our jobs. Can I come over? Madge kicked me out. I really can't afford a motel. I guess it doesn't matter now, but hurry up. I need to try to get some sleep tonight. Maybe tomorrow we can do something to save at least our jobs. Can you pick me up? I don't have my car keys and I don't want to go back and deal with Madge again tonight. The night of the confrontation was the last time we were together as a family. Before the divorce hearing was scheduled, Lydia disappeared. The house was quickly sold. She took her half of the equity and all of our savings and checks, I think out of spite. I wasn't worried. Most of our assets went to prepay for the girls' college. My share of the house was only about $20,000. We took out a home equity loan a few years ago to build a back deck and patio, so our equity on the sale was lower than it had been a few years ago. I used the money from the sale of the house to replace our emergency fund, which I used to fund my kids' college. With my income and no child support, I didn't really need the money. Eventually, because of Lydia's actions, I decided to wait a year and go for a divorce because of her absence, which would prevent her from coming back to me later for money or custody. I had no interest in her return. Roger surprisingly stayed in the neighborhood. I heard that he found a low-paying job and lives modestly on his own. Madge told me recently that she is engaged to one of her divorced neighbors, but is taking her time. Once burned, twice shy, good for her. The girls and I are doing well. They're both in college now. Alicia's graduating next year. Edie may graduate in 3 years, though she's thinking about joining the Marines. The girls correspond with their mom on Facebook, but they don't share information with her about me or me about her as I requested. I work at my old job and have a friend with benefits who is a divorced school teacher. Now that my girls are gone and her son is about to go to college, she will probably move in with me soon. We didn't talk about marriage, but we did talk about commitment and exclusivity. My life has never been better. She's on the pill and we use protection. You know, I have to be on my guard. Derek knew, of course. The girls are willing to keep in contact with me, but said their father doesn't want to give information about him or get information about me. God, it's like the first 20 years of our marriage were nothing. I was a good wife and mother during those years. I worked hard at home and at work. My money along with Derek's money went to support the house, the girls, the cars, and all of our bills. I contributed enough so I didn't feel guilty about taking the rest of our checks and savings, the little that was left after Derek went insane. Pre-funding a women's college, brilliantly smart move on his part. How could I argue with that? I'm not that stupid to be chasing that money. I guess the real question is, how big a fool was I? Did I deserve all the punishment I got after 245 months of being a good wife and mother and only 3 months of being a bad one? I didn't deserve what happened to me, at least not all of it. It wasn't really 3 months of bad behavior, it was 3 months of stupidity. Roger wasn't such a great prize. Most of his value lay in the excitement of the secrecy and the thrill of taking such a risk. Once I faced the consequences, the value of my relationship with Roger dropped to 0. The poor guy wanted to move in with me, said I owed him for ruining his marriage. Why did I leave town? I was a cheater and a cheat, and with the pictures to prove it. I felt like everyone knew what I had done. I couldn't believe Derek wouldn't release the video and compound my shame in front of people who knew me. Overnight he had turned into Dr. Avenger. By leaving, I hoped to start over until Derek calmed down and thought about taking me back. So here I am, waiting. I have a good job. I worked in finance for a health insurance company. I was the one who had to discuss with customers why they had to pay any money even though they had insurance. Now I work at a hospital trying to explain to people why they should pay the hospital any money when they have insurance. Fortunately, Mr. Albright, my former boss, was honest about my abilities as well as why I was fired. My new boss said he was willing to take a chance on hiring me, but warned me that any whiff of my lewd smoke would be an excuse for him to put out the fire. I got a nice little apartment. I don't need much. I don't have much of a social life. Unfortunately, I spend a lot of time on a special chat site for women who have been dumped for cheating. It's amazing how well I got off compared to some of the women in the chat room. Hey, I still look good. Derek knows I can be a good wife and mother. Does he really want to go through the whole middle-age dating scene for a new wife? I'm going to wait a little while. I hope the girls finally crack a little more and work on their fathering for me. Derek has been preparing for our divorce. I'll be preparing for our reconciliation. I spent a lot of time thinking about the good years. It's not hard. A song, a picture, a smell, a word, and I'm off to the land of memories. My heart aches strangely when I do this. I cry a lot. I can't believe Derek doesn't do the same thing, especially when he's with the girls. How many of his memories of girls have me in them? He should miss me. He should. We meant too much to each other for me to stop mattering to him. Derek, please find that place in your heart that still wants to love me, wants to forgive me, wants to give me a second chance. I will never betray you again. I was foolish to throw away 20 wonderful years of walking down the same path together. I hope he won't be so foolish and forgive me after this little zigzag. Will it come true? The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.